I need to say something that I think a lot of people in the health and performance space are afraid to admit. For 11 years, I was wrong about one of the most fundamental things I did every single morning. Before I brushed my teeth, before I looked at a single ray of natural light, before I said one word to another human being, I reached for a cup of coffee, and I told myself I needed it. I was a physician, a researcher, someone who builds morning protocols for a living, and I was completely blind to what I was doing to my own biology. Until the morning I sat down at my desk, 2 cups of coffee already in, and felt more exhausted when I woke up. Not regular tired, a hollow, scraped-out exhaustion, like my body was running on empty and borrowing against a credit line it couldn't pay back. That morning changed everything. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what was happening in your body right now, and almost certainly in yours right now. And I'm going to give you a 4-minute protocol backed by 2026 neurophysiology research that I've personally used every morning for 22 months instead of that first cup. And if you think this is an anti-coffee video, stay with me, because what I'm actually going to give you is your coffee back, just better. Before we start, drop in the comments, have you ever tried cutting back on coffee? What was your biggest struggle staying energized without it? I read every single one. What you share here might be exactly what someone else watching right now needs to hear. Here's what I believe, and it's the reason this channel exists. Every single transformation, physical, mental, or behavioral, starts with one thing. Not the perfect plan, not the right supplement stack, not the ideal morning window. It starts with the breath. One deliberate, chosen breath. Because at MindTake, we live by something simple. We take the breath so we can grow the life. That is not a tagline, that is a physics. The moment you take control of one conscious action, one breath, one choice, one morning decision, you have already started becoming the version of yourself this video is for. What I'm sharing today is not theory, it is lived, it is tested, and it is yours. Let me show you what is actually happening in your body right now, if you had coffee this morning. Every day, roughly 30 to 45 minutes after you wake up, your body releases a natural chemical surge, cortisol. And before that word makes you nervous, because cortisol has been unfairly villainized, let me be very precise about what it's designed to do. This surge is called the cortisol awakening response. It's your body's built-in biological performance accelerator. It sharpens your focus, primes your immune system, regulates your blood sugar, and prepares your brain to handle the cognitive demands of the day. It is remarkable engineering. Millions of years of evolution running silently every morning for free. Here's the problem. The moment you drink caffeine during that cortisol peak, which is exactly when most people make their first cup, you send your nervous system a false alarm. Your body already has its foot on the gas. You just floored it. And your body responds the way any overstressed system does. It compensates hard. Cortisol spikes artificially higher than your biology intended, and then it crashes faster and lower than it should. That mid-morning fog you feel around 10 or 11 a.m., that is not a caffeine deficiency. That is a cortisol recovery dip that your own morning ritual triggered. Now, 2026 data has clarified a second mechanism that makes this even more important. Adenosine receptor desensitization. Adenosine is the molecule that signals fatigue. Caffeine works by blocking adenosine from reaching its receptors, essentially hanging a do not disturb sign on your brain's tiredness signal. But here is what long-term caffeine use does. Your brain builds more receptors to compensate, more docking stations for fatigue, more capacity for exhaustion. This is why regular coffee drinkers often need more caffeine just to feel normal, not energized, not sharp, just baseline functional. I want you to genuinely sit with this question right now. Do you feel more tired 2 or 3 hours after your coffee than you did before you drank it? Not right after, 2 or 3 hours later. Drop yes or no in the comments, because your answer tells me exactly where your adenosine system currently is. And there's a third layer that almost no one addresses. Coffee is a diuretic. Your body wakes up after 6 to 8 hours without water, already dehydrated at a cellular level, and the first thing most people do is drink something that pulls more fluid out of their system. Mild dehydration, just 1 to 2%, measurably slows cognitive function, reaction time drops, working memory compresses, decision quality degrades. And you are doing this before 8 a.m., before a single meeting, before your first real demand of the day. So the full picture looks like this. You wake up dehydrated, hit your cortisol peak, flood the system with caffeine, artificially spike and crash cortisol, compound your dehydration, and then wonder why the afternoon feels impossible. That 2 p.m. crash? If that is real for you, write 2 p.m. in the comments right now because I'm going to show you exactly how to eliminate it. Let's go deeper into what is actually happening in those first 30 minutes after you open your eyes. When you wake up, your body is completing an 8-hour repair sequence, tissue rebuilding, memory consolidation, metabolic waste clearance through the lymphatic system, your brain's overnight detox pathway. All of that is winding down as you surface into consciousness. Your nervous system is in a transitional state, not sleep mode, not full activation, a biological in-between, open, primed, ready to be guided into the day. This is the most important window of your entire 24-hour cycle, and most people spend it hijacking their own biology. Here's the metaphor I want you to carry into the rest of this video. Morning coffee, taken immediately, is not a fuel source. It's a high-interest loan on your energy. You get the money now, alert, sharp, ready, but there's interest, and your body's going to collect it mid-morning, afternoon, sometimes evening, when you lie in bed wired and exhausted at the same time, wondering why you cannot wind down. The 4-minute protocol I'm about to give you is not a loan. It's an investment. It activates your body's own energy-generating neurochemistry, the system you already own, for the cost of 4 minutes and the willingness to try something unfamiliar. Before I give you the protocol, honest question, have you ever started a morning without any beverage at all? No coffee, no tea, no energy drink, just you, a week, and the morning. Drop never tried or tell me what that looked like in the comments. I genuinely want to know how many of us have never experienced our own unassisted biology before 8 a.m. Here's what coffee is masking. Your body has a natural 4-stage activation sequence. Light exposure suppresses melatonin and triggers serotonin release. Core body temperature begins its natural rise.
Breathing shifts from parasympathetic to sympathetic dominance, and physical movement, even subtle, brings the cardiovascular system and muscular system fully online. When you pour caffeine into that sequence before it's completed, you are not starting the car. You are bypassing the ignition and hot-wiring the engine. It works, but every time you do it, something wears down that you cannot see. All right, here it is. 3 steps, 4 minutes. Built on 3 independent physiological systems. And I want you to try step 3 right now while we are here together. Step 1, Optic Flow, 60 seconds. In 2026, researchers confirmed what earlier neuroscience studies had suggested. Panoramic light exposure, especially natural light, especially when your eyes track motion across a wide visual field, directly suppresses amygdala threat response activity. In plain language, when you look at a wide, open, naturally lit scene, sky, trees moving in wind, morning light shifting across a rooftop, your brain's stress circuit goes quiet. Simultaneously, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, your internal clock, receives the signal that wakefulness is correct and appropriate. Melatonin clears faster, serotonin rises. Practically, within 60 seconds of waking, move to your widest window or step outside. Let your eyes move. Wide, slow, panoramic movement. No phone, no fixed stare. Just your eyes, open, scanning the natural world. Do you have a spot at home where you can see natural light within the first few minutes of waking? Drop your setup in the comments. Window, balcony, back door, skylight? Because this one variable is the most underestimated factor in morning energy I have ever encountered in 20 years of clinical work. Step 2, thermal shift and hydration, 60 seconds. Immediately after your light exposure, drink 400 to 500 milliliters of water, room temperature or cold. Cold has the added benefit of triggering a mild sympathetic response, a micro-activation of your nervous system that assists the natural rise of core body temperature, which is one of your brain's primary signals that waking is appropriate and safe. If you want to make this step even more powerful, and I do this every single morning, add a small pinch of sea salt and a squeeze of lemon. Sodium assists cellular hydration at a deeper level. Citric acid gently stimulates gut motility, signaling the gut-brain axis that the day has begun. Share your best tip in the comments for actually drinking water before the kettle. What makes it easier?
What do you add? Because the answers in this thread are going to build something valuable for everyone watching later. Step 3, rhythmic breath work, 2 minutes. This is the core, and I want you to do this with me right now. The pattern is called a 4-7-4 resonance breath. Inhale through your nose, 4 counts. Hold, 7 counts. Exhale through your mouth, 4 counts. Ready? Do this with me. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1 through 7. Exhale, 1 through 4. Again, inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1 through 7. Exhale, 1 through 4. What you just did, right there in whatever room you're sitting in, is manually shift your autonomic nervous system from sympathetic threat scanning into a state researchers now call coherent activation. Not relaxed, not sleepy, coherent, sharp, calm, and regulated simultaneously. This breathwork activates the vagus nerve, the primary communication channel between brain and body. It increases heart rate variability. It suppresses the cortisol stress response without sedating you. And it does all of this in under 2 minutes. No cup of coffee has ever done that. Not once. If you did those 2 rounds with me right now, even sitting, even distracted, drop the word ready in the comments. I want to see how many of us just rewired our nervous system together in real time. Here's what happens when you do this consistently. Within 3 to 5 mornings, most people report a shift they describe with one specific word. Not energized, not motivated, not productive. Clean. Clean alertness, like a window that's been wiped. Coffee gives you activation that carries an undercurrent, a low-grade tightness in the chest, a restlessness in the thinking, a pressure to perform that starts before you're even fully awake. The protocol gives you something different: readiness without urgency, focus without tension. And here is the piece that surprises people most. This is not an anti-coffee video. I still drink coffee almost every day, but the research on circadian cortisol rhythms tells us something important. The optimal window for caffeine, for someone waking between 6 and 7:30 a.m., is 90 to 120 minutes after waking. By that point, the cortisol surge has naturally crested and begun its descent. Caffeine in this window doesn't spike cortisol. It extends the alertness curve that was already descending naturally. The result? More sustained energy from less caffeine, shallower crash, no jitteriness, and the coffee, when you finally have it, tastes completely different because you're drinking it as a deliberate pleasure instead of a desperate fix. Which describes your mornings more honestly? Morning jitters, wired but scattered, or midday brain fog, like you never fully woke up? Drop which one lands for you in the comments, because the adjustment for each is slightly different, and I want to make sure you're applying the right version of this going forward. I want to invite a beta group. If you're willing to push your first coffee back just 90 minutes tomorrow morning, just tomorrow, just once, comment beta group below. I'll be reading personally and replying to the first responders with something extra. You'll see what it is. And what is your favorite coffee bean or roast for that delayed, intentional cup? Let's make this a real conversation, because the goal was never to take something from you. It was to give it back to you as something you actually earned. I want to talk to the person who is thinking, this sounds good, Silas, but I have a 2-cup habit and I cannot just stop. You are right, and I am not asking you to. Abrupt caffeine withdrawal is a real physiological experience. Headaches, fatigue, irritability, those are not psychological weaknesses. That is your adenosine system recalibrating. Dropping to 0 overnight is not the smart move, and it's not what I use with clients. The method I recommend is what I call the anchor and delay approach. You keep the coffee, every single cup if you want it. You simply move the first one by 15 minutes every 3 days. If you currently drink at 6:30, you drink at 6:45 for 3 days. Then 7. Then 7:15. Gradual enough that your adenosine system resets without triggering a withdrawal response. By the time you reach the 90-minute window, your biology will have genuinely adjusted. The craving at wake-up doesn't disappear because you suppressed it. It disappears because your body stopped needing it as an emergency fix. For the longtime community members, if you have ever reduced or quit caffeine before, share that story in the comments. What worked, what failed, what surprised you? Because those lived accounts are real data for the person watching this right now who is on the fence.
And for those living the 2026 hybrid life, early training sessions, remote work across time zones, split schedules, late-night creative hours, the protocol does not need a normal wake time. It anchors to your consistent wake time, whatever that is. 5 a.m. athlete, protocol at 5 a.m. Night shift professional waking at 2 p.m., protocol at 2 p.m. Your biology does not know what a clock says. It knows what you consistently do. Tell me in the comments, what does your actual wake time and work schedule look like right now? Because the most common reason morning protocols fail is that people are applying a 6 a.m. framework to a life that wakes up at 10. And I want to meet you where you actually are. Here's what I want you to actually take from today. We talk constantly in performance spaces about optimization, output, efficiency, biohacking, and all of it, every framework, every protocol, every data point is only as good as the moment you decide to actually use it. And that moment always starts the same way, a breath. Not a perfect plan, not a flawless morning, not the ideal supplement or the right roast or the optimal window. One breath, chosen deliberately. Because here at MindTake, this is what we believe and this is what this community is built on. We take the breath so we can grow the life. That breath you just took with me in step 3 was not an exercise. It was a choice to stop outsourcing your morning state to a dependency and start building it from the inside out. The 4-minute protocol is just a structure for that choice, but the real transformation was in the choosing. So here's what I'm asking. 7 days, that is it. 7 mornings, Optic flow, hydration, breath work, before your first cup. You keep the coffee, you just earn it. And at the end of 7 days, come back to this comment section and tell me what shifted, what surprised you, what was harder than expected, what you noticed about your afternoons, your sleep, your focus, your mood. If you were genuinely committed, not just curious, but actually in, drop challenge accepted in the comments right now. I'm reading every single one personally, and the first group to comment will receive a reply with a direct link to our community tracking sheet, where we log results together. One last thing, if something in this video opened a door for you, even one idea, even one question, hit subscribe and share it with one person who starts their morning with coffee and wonders why the afternoon always falls apart. The most powerful thing we can do for someone else's growth is to hand them information they didn't know they were missing. I'll see you in the next video. Keep breathing, keep growing.